What is up, guys? So today we're going to be doing a video on this Dell Latitude 14 Rugged 5414 I got from my local recycling center. So yeah, I got this for about $30. So yeah, this did not work when I got it. It would like blink power like a second after I pressed the power button, and then right here and right here, and then it would just shut off. And after doing it further with researching, I took my risk and bought it, and turned out to be, they say, most people said for this particular model it was the CMOS battery that causes this issue. So I unplugged the CMOS battery whenever I bought it, and which was very difficult to take apart, by the way. It requires taking out several screws upon several screws, and then I unplugged the CMOS battery, put it back together, which was a huge pain in the butt to do. Keeping track of all the screws and where they would go. And I may even put some screws in some places, and I may have even lost a couple of screws. And then it took a while for it to boot up. It takes a while for it to boot up in general, and she fired right up with an invalid configuration information error. Now this thing does not come with a rechargeable battery pack, by the way, but still pretty cool to have one of these nonetheless, because you don't see these too often, especially for a good price like I got. You see these mainly in construction sites, automotive dealerships, welding environments, military use cases, engineering use cases, and more. So, and just more use cases that require that gets your laptops really dirty or gets them damaged pretty easily. That require one of these tough, like laptops, kind of tough books. So very, very similar to one of these, but they also have a higher end version, one of these called the Rugged Extreme, the Latitude Rugged Extreme, but I don't have one of those, unfortunately, to compare it to. This is water and dust resistant, but I'm not sure how water and dust resistant is, and I don't want to risk it, so, and it's also drop resistant, so that's pretty nice to have in case I accidentally drop one of these. So now we're going to go over the ports on this. So this is webcam optional, but mine did not come with it. And it is RGB keyboard optional, but mine does not come with the RGB backlit lighting keyboard. Unfortunately, I know Ryan Garrett, if you watch some of his videos, his 5414 has backlight RGB keyboard. So he has a Core i5 sticker. I believe it has an i5 6300U. Has a 1366 by 768 non-touch screen display, but also had an optional 1920 by 1080 touchscreen display. But mine doesn't have it. This one was one of the more lower end configurations, I think, but still pretty nice to have, in my opinion, to have one of these, especially after I fixed it. But you can see, you just get one of these down, and then I believe in here is the hard drive. I have a 500 gigabyte Seagate solid state hybrid drive because I don't have any extra SSDs to put in here at the moment. I did have a 128 gigabyte Lite-On SSD I put in here, but unfortunately I think it's bad because it kept on freezing, kept on crashing the entire system. So I don't have any extra SSDs to put in here, unfortunately. So I just put a solid. The closest thing I had was a solid state hybrid drive to put in here for right now. So you know what, it's just going to have to do. And putting an operating system on here was more difficult than I thought because it just kept on settings for the BIOS, which just kept on would not wanting to boot from the USB. So I had to until I finally until I kept on reset the BIOS to defaults, it just would not boot from the USB. Want to boot from the USB for whatever reason. So right here is a couple of USB 3.0 ports and SD card slot, and this is where the hole with the stylus would go if you had a touch screen, but mine does not have it, so no touch screen. And then there's your charge port right there, but I have to keep mine plugged in because no battery. If you do unlatch this, it has a VGA and serial, which you don't see too often on laptops, especially from the 2010s. A USB 2.0 and a gigabit Ethernet port. So That is pretty nice to have some legacy ports back here that you don't see too often anymore. And then on the left side here, you got headphone jack, HDMI, and then another USB 3.0 port, and then you got a SIM card slot that I think these had optional um, WAN support, but WANN or whatever it's called. You have to correct me in the comments on that, but mine does not have that because, like I said, I don't think mine has that because mine is literally the lowest end configured of one of these models, but I'm pretty happy with what I got regardless. So, and then here's where the battery would go if I had one, but I'll order one for it eventually. And I don't have a CMOS battery in here either, so it takes a while for it to boot up if you plug it in. It's constantly restarts several times in order for it to finally go to the splash screen after restarting like 3 times after you plug it in. So yeah, you can see definitely seen some mileage, like they say. Has a pretty worn keyboard and touchpad. It has some scratches on the screen here. It has missing some rubber on the right of the bezel here. And it's also, if I can find it here, missing some rubber right here on one of the corners right here. So that kind of stinks, but you know, it is what it is, you know. So yeah. And then, I don't have Windows 10 or Windows 11 installed on here using the Rufus method just because they run horribly on a hard drive or solid state hybrid drive. So instead, I have Ubuntu 26.04, which I'm not really a big Linux person, but I've wanted to try out Linux a little bit, so I decided to put it on here nonetheless. So it also has 8 gigs of DDR4 2133 megahertz, which is not terribly bad. It's better than DDR3 or DDR3L, so I would definitely take it. I may upgrade to 16 gigs eventually, but how hard these things are to take apart, I may or may not do it, so. Excuse me. Without further ado, let's boot this bad boy up. And I'll go ahead and turn off the light too, so you can see the screen a little bit better. And it also has a little nice handle. This is a pretty big, nice handle right here, so you can carry it like a briefcase. Sure, it's taking a while to boot up to put it on the splash screen for whatever reason. Oh, there we go. I'm not sure why it does that for whatever reason. See, it's loading straight to Ubuntu. As you can see, it loads fairly fast for what it is on Ubuntu. Does it fairly quick, I would say. I'd tell you it does it in less than a minute. In the splash screen, anyway. I wouldn't say from the power button, but from the splash screen. So, let me go ahead and put in my password quickly, and then I'll go ahead and go to the desktop and show you around the web browser, Google Chrome. So, let me go ahead and do that quickly. Alrighty, so now that I've logged myself in, I guess I'll show you around the specs of it. So, go ahead and go to settings so I can show you the specs of it here. Even though I pretty much told you what they were, but you gotta have some content here. So, see, Core i5 6300U, 8 gigs of DDR4, and a 500 gigabyte solid state hybrid drive. So, yeah. Anyways, I'll load up Google Chrome, and then we'll go ahead and do a YouTube playback video. So, yeah, let me go ahead and load Google Chrome really quickly. Alright, now that we're on the new tab, let's see how fast it loads on YouTube here. I'm going to do, for bus I'm going to buy pretty soon, 222. And of course, the volume is blaring loud, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that down here. We're going to do one of it idling, so I suppose. So doesn't that beauty sound awesome, I tell you? If you guys don't know, this is the bus I'm buying pretty soon, so this bus means a lot to me, so if you don't know, I'm also a bus enthusiast, so yeah. Now we'll do the high idling. So, go ahead and shut her down now. Go ahead and turn up the volume a little bit all the way. And we're going to power her off now. And close the lid on her. So yeah, that'll be it. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Comment, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts down in the comments. Stay tuned for more content to come, folks.